Welcome to video 6 of our factor module. Today we're going to talk about how to modify factor levels. Okay, so for instance, if I look at the party IDs in my data set, right, there was a lot of different party IDs, and maybe I'd like to group them. So I want to recode them, maybe just recode them in a way that's more consistent. So like here I have to see, oh, it's not strong Republican, this is really sort of Republican. So I can do a recode in the following way. So I can do a factor recode. So here I'm resetting the party ID to be a factor recode of party ID. So I tell it which one I want to recode. I want what was strong Republican now to show up as Republican strong. What was not strong Republican to show up as Republican weak, so forth. So if I do this and then do the count, I can see the things that are Republican are grouped together, the independents are grouped together, the Democrats are grouped together. So I can do that. The other thing I can do is I can assign several things to the same recode. So for instance, I'd like to put no answer, don't know, and other party together. And I'm just going to call that all other. So I will set other equal to no answer, other equal to don't know, and other equal to other party. And then when I count, I can see all of the others totaled up now to 548, right? So I can look here and double check. Yes, 155 and 393 is in fact 548. Okay, so that's a way you can recode your levels to sort of rename your levels, if you will. Now, sometimes I want to collapse a whole bunch of old levels. So really, I don't want as many different levels. I could do it this way with setting the same thing equal to multiple ones. But another thing I could do is use factor collapse. So here, I tell it which ones to collapse into the different categories. So here I'm collapsing party ID, and I'm taking these and putting them in other. I'm taking REP to be these Republican ones. I'm taking IND for independent, so forth. And therefore, I've collapsed my levels into a fewer number of levels. I can also use factor lump. And this is lumps together all the smaller groups. Now this you have to use carefully because it depends on how many levels you want, and you're going to lose some of the small ones that you may want to see. But for instance, I could do lump all the religions into the top 10. So here I'm picking out the top 10, I'm picking out the top 9 responses, and then everything else gets put into other. Okay, so here's other that picks up all the rest of them. So it takes the top 9, which would include Orthodox Christian, and then everything else gets lumped into other. So you now have an exercise to work, exercise number 4, where you're going to check and see, have the proportions of people identifying as Democrat, Republican, and Independent changed over time. So I want you to do this as a graphical representation and then tell me your analysis. What is your conclusion? And then there's exercise 5, which is your last exercise of this section, is to collapse our income into a small set of categories. Okay, and make sure that these make some sort of sense. You can use multiple factor relevels or collapses or lumps or whatever that you think is appropriate, and then print those out. Print out the count for each of those categories you wind up with. This concludes our videos on factors. I may or may not get around to doing the ones on Lubridate, but if so, stay tuned.